asked to deviate around weather that may not appear on a controller's scope?
Good question. Weather radar reflects precipitation. In the high plains and sometimes in the upper Midwest, it is not uncommon to have low precipitation supercells that can pack the same punch as any supercell, but may have little or no radar reflectivity.
Do weather radar systems display turbulence?
No, but as a general rule, the closer the precipitation levels are stacked together, the more turbulence can be expected.
How does what you see on your display compare to what a pilot sees on their radar?
Our weather radar mosaic products provide a much broader, more complete picture of the weather echoes than an aircraft's onboard weather radar.
Can you tell us what a TRACON controller might see when looking at their scope?
Most TRACONs now have color radar displays. 6 levels of precip are displayed using a combination of symbols and colors. These intensities are issued as light, moderate, heavy, and extreme.
Can you show me the different kinds of weather displays in the en route environment?
I'd be glad to. This is a warp NexRad display. Light intensity precipitation is not displayed. The terms moderate, heavy, and extreme are used to describe the intensity levels.
I understand that the ARSA display is slightly different.
Yes, the ARSA display depicts only 2 levels. The lowest displayable precipitation depicted as lines is described as moderate. The highest displayable precipitation depicted as H's is described as heavy to extreme. Let's look in on a controller relaying weather.
United 970, heavy to extreme precipitation between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, 30 miles. Moving northeast at 20 knots, tops unknown. Precipitation area is 40 miles in diameter.
Pilots understand the significance of these terms, so using correct phraseology is important so that there are no misunderstandings.
Will you explain what the height of a weather radar return means?
Absolutely. Basically, the higher the tops, the greater probability the radar return is a thunderstorm.
Thank you very much, Patty. Bob, back to you.
While we've come a long way in radar weather displays, even the most sophisticated equipment has its limitations. Let's join our storm chasers at the National Weather Center and we'll examine some anomalies associated with the Warp NexRad en route radar.
Weather radar scans vary from 4 to 10 minutes. Because of this, an offset of the DSR displayed weather occurs.
To manage this situation during very windy days, a controller should be alert to wind direction and velocity at different altitudes. With Warp and NexRad, for example, if winds are 50 knots from the southwest, the display may be off by 4 nautical miles. Controllers must be aware of the direction that aircraft are deviating and accurately forward that information to other pilots.
So what are a controller's responsibilities when it comes to observed and/or reported weather?
Issuing weather is a high priority and comes only after higher priorities such as ensuring separation. Controllers must become familiar with pertinent weather information when coming on duty and stay aware of current weather information. Controllers must issue weather to pilots and level of echo intensity when available. Use the term precipitation when describing radar-derived weather. It is a controller's responsibility to inform any tower for which approach control services are provided of observed precipitation on radar which may affect their operation.
Controllers are required to broadcast hazardous weather information.
This includes airmits, SIGMETs, convective SIGMETs, urgent PIREPs, and center weather advisories. Think vertical. Use vertical separation when numerous aircraft are deviating in an area. In areas of significant weather, plan ahead and be prepared to suggest an alternative route or altitude when requested by the pilot. Provide radar navigational guidance and/or approve weather deviations around weather areas when requested by the pilot.
Using the blanket phrase, "deviate as necessary," is not recommended. because it can be interpreted by the pilot as a free license to climb and descend, as well as deviate left and right. Controllers should issue appropriate restrictions, such as deviations right of course approved, or deviate left and right of course as necessary. Maintain 1-2000.
Typically, pilots will reduce airspeed in turbulence, so be cautious with the use of speed control during these conditions. PIREPs are an important source of current weather information. It is based on real-time data that pilots and controllers utilize in the decision-making process. Solicit PIREPs when the following conditions exist or are forecast to exist: when ceilings are at or below 5,000 feet, ensure at least one descent or climb-out PIREP with cloud bases and tops each hour for airports requiring approach control services. When visibility, surface or aloft, is less than 5 miles, when turbulence is of a moderate degree or greater, when there are thunderstorms and related phenomena, when icing is of a light degree or greater, when wind shear is reported.
Urgent PIREPs must be immediately broadcast over the frequency and sent to the Center Weather Coordinator or Flight Service Station. Urgent PIREPs include tornadoes, funnel clouds, waterspouts, severe or extreme turbulence, including clear air turbulence, severe icing, hail, and low-level wind shear if a pilot reports airspeed fluctuations of 10 knots or more. If a pilot reports low-level wind shear without specifying the number of knots of fluctuation, treat this as an urgent PIREP. Airspeed fluctuations of less than 10 knots are considered a routine PIREP. Other types of urgent PIREPs include volcanic ash and any other weather phenomena which is considered by the specialist to be potentially hazardous to flight operations.
PIREPs won't do any good if no one knows about them. So pass them on to Flight Service, the Center Weather Coordinator, and all affected aircraft and personnel.
To make sure that everyone understands how weather, specifically thunderstorms, can impact aircraft, let's review what we've covered.
Thunderstorms pose a serious threat to pilots and their aircraft. It's a controller's responsibility to keep pilots informed of current weather conditions.
Thunderstorm hazards include turbulence, hail, icing, lightning, tornadoes, waterspouts, downbursts, and low-level wind shear.
There are many misconceptions surrounding weather avoidance techniques.
We've highlighted a few areas. Pilots can visually detect bad weather. Not always. All aircraft have some sort of onboard weather detection equipment. Not so. Pilots will avoid bad weather because they are told to proceed on course when able after deviating. This is not always true. The last two airplanes did not deviate, neither will this one. Don't assume anything. Aircraft can top a thunderstorm to avoid the hazards. Unlikely. If there appears to be a hole in the weather, the pilot should be able to go through it. Also unlikely.
We examined some of the tools controllers use when assisting with weather avoidance. These radar systems can display weather in terms of precipitation intensities. Controllers should be aware that there are certain anomalies associated with the warp and NEXRAD systems. And lastly, we looked at some of the controller's responsibilities. Become familiar and stay aware of current weather conditions in your area of jurisdiction. Use the term precipitation and issue the level of echo intensity of radar-derived weather. Broadcast hazardous weather information over the frequency. Provide navigational guidance when requested by the pilot. Think vertical in deviating situations. Be cautious with the use of speed control when aircraft are in turbulence. Solicit and disseminate PIREPs. The key is to keep communication lines open between the controller and the pilot. Don't keep secrets.
Keeping aircraft safe during hazardous weather events is a team effort.
What you know and observe and how you disseminate that information really can make a difference.
Remember, any information that improves safety is information that needs to be shared. If you believe your facility has a unique practice that promotes safety and has proven to lower operational errors, contact your appropriate safety assurance office. Sometimes the pilot could be in IFR conditions. That's not the line.
There's some common misconceptions about the wind dying down. It just came up.
An aircraft entering a volcano. An aircraft entering a volcano. We're riding it out right here. Thunderstorms can be as deadly as hurricanes. John, how cool is this? I always wanted to go to the National Weather Center. Because of this, there's an offset to the DSR display. Weather occurs. We examined some of the tools controllers use when providing. We examined some of the tools controllers use when assisting.